everybody, it's Dana of Got Joy Creations. Welcome back. Today we're going to make a cute coffee inspired card. I'm going to use this brand new set from SugarPea Designs. I love it. I'm going to use this cute little mug with one of the toppings. And I'm going to make mine a little bit of light coffee. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and put this down in the corner of my card because I've already made the crease. So that's why I put the Post-it tape around so I know exactly where I need to be. I'm going to use some distressed ink, and this is scattered straw. And I'm going to do some very easy watercoloring today. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to put this right down here in the corner, and I'm going to press gently. I just want a faint line around so it gives me just an outline of where I need to watercolor. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use some distressed markers. My two favorite colors, this is picked raspberry and the other one is peacock feathers. Love these two. I'm going to put some on my mat and then I realized it's not sticking very well. So I'm going to go ahead and use the back of that acrylic block. Like I said, this is going to be very free flowing. So I'm going to grab my watercolor brush and I'm just going to go around the outside of that line. And this is almost like no line coloring, but just for watercoloring. So I'm just going to faintly go right around those light lines. And because that was distressed ink as well, it's going to kind of fade to the background. So I'm just using it as my guide to fill in my cup. So I'm just going to go right around the edges, and now I can start bringing in some of that color. So I'm going to bring some of that beautiful blue. Like I said, this is my favorite color for distress inks. I just don't know what it is about this color. I'm going to wipe off my brush because it was getting a little bit too watery, and I'm going to clean up some of those edges. Alright, I'm going to grab some more and I'm going to go ahead and do right around the rim of my cup. Can't forget that because I don't want that part to be filled with coffee. So I'm going to easily go right around that. Again, just following those lines. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see this better. Now, like I said, that faint mark from the original ink, that scatter straw, gives me a great little outline for me to go ahead and color with the darker color, if that kind of makes sense. I'm going to add a little bit more color right around the back of that cup because what is away from us would be darker compared to what's in front of us. And obviously the back of that cup is going to be in the distance from us. Now I'm going to add a little bit of shading just by bringing in a little bit more of that peacock feather. I'm just going to do a little bit of shading, not much. I want this card to be like kind of organic, so I don't want to add too much color. I think that looks pretty good. Next I want to come in and do that saucer. So this is where that beautiful picked raspberry is going to come in. Like I said, this is again one of my favorite colors out of all the distress colors. And I want this to be a happy card. So I'm not going to do anything that's too matchy-matchy. So again, I'm just going to use that scattered straw. And that's going to be my guide to go ahead and add in my watercoloring. So I guess you can call this no line coloring. I love this technique though. I really do. It's easy to replicate on any kind of stamped image. And it's so fun to do. And it kind of makes it look like it was maybe a little bit hand-drawn, but not too fussy, you know what I mean? Alright, I'm just going to come right underneath that cup and add in a little bit of more of that color. I'm going to go back out and make sure my lines are pretty crisp. Just going to go around one more time across that bottom. That is looking fantastic. I want to add just a tad bit more color. A little bit, like I said, a little bit of shading. So I'm going to come right in on that right side so it mimics the shading of my cup. And I'm going to go right underneath. Just a little bit. Okay, that's coming together great. All right, now I need to go ahead and put in my coffee. And I like my coffee light and sweet. I love a lot of sugar and a lot of creamer. That is the only way you're going to get this girl to drink coffee. That I've always been that way. All right, so I'm just going to use that scattered straw because that gives me a nice light brown color. Can you see that? Fantastic cup of coffee. Now I'm just going to move that ink around just a little bit because there's a little design inside that coffee and I don't want to ruin that pretty design. All right, next I'm going to use some brushed corduroy and I want to give my saucer something to sit on. I don't want it to look like it's just floating amongst space. So I'm going to go ahead and ground my coffee cup onto my card. So I'm going to very lightly start with just a little bit of color so I know exactly where my shading is going to be. I'm going to draw another line and then I can start pulling that color downward. You see how I'm doing that? And that's just going to give me like a shadow of where my coffee cup is sitting. So I'm just going to blend that out really, really softly. Because sometimes you don't want your image on your card to just look like it's floating in space. So you got to kind of ground it some way. And like I said, I want the card to be happy. So I don't want to add too many dark colors right now. But you know what? I think I'm going to have to add some of the brushed corduroy to the, just off to the side on that acrylic block because I'm not getting the color that I want. And I don't want to draw any more harsh lines. Yes, that is much, much better. I didn't want to end up having a really, really harsh line. So this helps me out a little bit better by keeping that paper kind of wet. All right, perfect. So again, I'm just grounding my coffee cup so it doesn't look like it's floating in the air on my card. All right, that looks fabulous. I'm going to zoom back out and we're going to go ahead and keep rocking and rolling with this card. This was going to be a very, very clean and simple card. Now I can go ahead and remove my tape because that was right on the seam of my card. So this is going to be a one layer card and I really want to have that paper down so it didn't warp too much with the water. And that was very easy on the water. All right, so I'm just going to fold that in half. And I think I need to just use my bone folder to get a good crease, a really good crease down the side of that card. How cute, right? So let's grab a sentiment. This stamp says has a ton to choose from. So I'm just going to line up a few and see which ones. And I think I'm going to use that one right there. Love you more than, and of course it's going to be right next to my coffee cup. All right, so in order for me to get this straight, since the paper was a little bit wonky, I'm going to have to bring in my Misty. And this way it's going to keep that card, even though I didn't use a lot of water, I want to make sure that that card stays flat. And since it's already folded, I really need to make sure it stays flat so I can get a good impression when I put down my sentiment. Now I am going to go rather striking with the sentiment. I'm going to use black, because I think that's going to really make that cup pop next to it. All right, so I'm just going to grab some black ink and I'm going to go ahead and ink up my sentiment. And I'm going to use VersaFine on it since it's on watercolor paper. And I like the crispness that this ink gives. All right, it's all inked up. Now I can bring it over and press it down. And you don't have to press too hard with the Misty because I also have that cushion underneath. Oh, look at that. I think it looks cute. Alrighty, let's move this stuff out of the way so we can go ahead and finish up the card. I need something down the side because my card is looking a tad bit plain. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use some washi tape. And I love this because it matches the color. And because it's a Valentine's Day card, it's going to be perfect with the hearts. So see, you don't have to have a lot of fuss on a card to make it look really, really pretty. All right, so I'm just going to grab some of that washi tape and I'm going to put it right down the side of my card. I'll line it up on the edge. See, it all comes together. It was a plan in my head. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tear that washi tape. Let me just grab a pair of scissors and clean up the edge of my card. Just gonna cut off that end there, and then we'll spin the card and cut off that end. But I think I want to do one more thing. I think I want to curve that top corner. Okay, so I'm going to grab my corner chomper, and I just want to round that top corner. I'm going to use the 1/2 inch one. I'm going to chomp that off, and there we have it. A really simple and cute coffee lover's card. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I'll see you guys soon. Go forth and be crafty.